Hello, guys. So, let's talk about last night's episode of Big Brother. It was a 2 hour episode that showcased the raveling of the 7-person alliance. Well, at least according to Julie. Um, I don't really know what raveling would be. Would that be the opposite of unraveling, which was more like what was happening? Um, don't know. Um, we had James and Chuck on the block, and we went back to see Shannon win the veto in a spelling competition. She spelled responsibilities and broke, I think, the record for the longest word with 16 letters. Um, in the bottom was James and Ari, so they had to be babies for, I think it was 48 hours. So that was a thing. They were crawling. They had to crawl around on their hands and knees, like, and when the baby crying sounded, you they had to suck on these fake bottles. Um, we saw different people treating Ari like an actual baby and feeding her and stuff. It was interesting, to say the least. But James was a good sport about it, even though he said he didn't want to be put in any um, ridiculous costumes or leotards or whatever. Um, he was a good sport about it. I thought it was kind of interesting that the two youngest people in the house ended up being the babies. Um, and let's see what else. We saw some fractions building and some arguments take place. Um, Omarosa and Brandy didn't seem to get along. Ross was upset because um, he felt like he was being left out of the alliance because they kept referring to the women, may the best woman win. When it gets down to the final women, or to the women, and different stuff like that. Um, I've heard some interesting takes on it, such as, when that Ross knew that this was a woman's thing when he came into it, but and versus the, well, that they should be, that they should pick better words type thing. Um, Either way, I'm okay with Ross being upset because um, my prediction from the get go of this 7-person alliance was it was going to fail. So um, it came out that supposedly Keisha had a deal with Chuck, which didn't set well with Shannon. And so this started this deal, which is, I talked about this in one of my previous live feed videos, that James was talking to Ross in the gym and proposed a final four. Well, it turns out that that was an actual thing, and that's what's coming to fruition now in this episode when they agree to flip the script. They're going to vote out Chuck, keep James, and that it looks like Ross, Marissa, Shannon, and James are going to be working together. They're going to surround themselves with Mark, Ari, and Brandy to give themselves the numbers. And Keisha, Meta, and Omarosa are going to be on the outs. They're going to be probably the next three to go if this alliance keeps winning. Which, honestly, I could see that happening with it being with Shannon and James being in this group. They were the final two in the first HOH and everything. So they agree that they're going to do this. They're going to keep James, knock out send Chuck going. So we get to the vote, and there's one thing that kind of was weird where Meta goes in and he says this deal about asking his wife to be his Valentine. This isn't the first time he's done this. He's held it up to cameras and stuff. I don't know if he thinks somebody's going to bring him a message from the outside telling him that his wife agreed. Considering he's going to be only gone 2 weeks, I don't think his wife's going to be a Valentine for anybody else. At least I hope not. That would really suck for him. But he does this and then just is like, I vote for Chuck, and walks out the door before. Didn't wait for Julie to say anything. So there's people saying that he was going, that when he said I vote for Chuck, he was meaning he voted for Chuck to stay. But Julie went ahead and counted it as for Chuck to go. But in reality, this isn't too big of a deal because it's 6-2 instead of 7-1. Chuck still leaves. So, they're talking to Chuck on the stage, and Chuck explains that the deal was that if it was a tie, Keisha would break that tie in Chuck's favor, and Chuck would not put her up in exchange for that. That's not that big of a deal, but in the long run, I got what I wanted. The Women's Alliance has exploded. I predicted that. But now I'm stuck in this place of, as soon as the show is over and everything, and I start thinking, I'm like, this is gonna get turned into a race issue because you got the black people on the outs and all the white people are now working together. Now, I know, being a Big Brother fan, that race is not playing an issue in this. But you got the political crowd paying attention because Omarosa is talking about Donald Trump and the White House and all this, and it's making headlines. And so I really do think that this is going to be turned into something that it's not. And I know that there's a lot of people that are like, you're an old fat white guy. How can you comment on race relations? I'm not commenting on race relations. I'm commenting on gameplay in the Big Brother house. And when you got two people yelling at you to do something that you don't feel is in the best interest of your game, and you're being guilt tripped into this whole thing of, oh, is and being guilt tripped by telling that, oh, you're not considering your alliance, you're just being about yourself. Well, in the diary room, she's sitting here saying, this isn't the best thing for my game. So she can talk about her game and look at her game, but Shannon's not allowed to talk about her, look at this for her and the target that's on her back, because she's carrying the load of this alliance, because she's the only one that's won anything, and you're not even going to take her feelings into consideration. That's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at this from this perspective, and race doesn't play anything in this. It's just women being catty to each other and not really looking at the bigger aspects of this game. And what the deal is I'm looking at this from a pure game aspect, and I don't think that a lot of the public that aren't Big Brother fans are going to see this. I hope that the outside world doesn't ruin Big Brother for me and turn this into some sort of um, social issue. So there you have it. I will be back later today, some point, with a live feeds update. Until then, peace. I'm out.